On December 5th, 1945, at 2:10 p.m., a group of 5 bomber planes took off from base in Fort Lauderdale on a training mission. Their mission, named Flight 19, began navigation problem number 1 that involved them flying east from Fort Lauderdale to a place called Hens and Chickens Shoals, then changing direction to fly over Grand Bahama Island before turning southwest and returning to base. The flight path resembled a triangle, and the crew had practiced this maneuver before. At 2:30, Flight 19 arrived at Hens and Chickens Shoals, dropped their payload, then turned toward the north. During this leg of the mission, Lieutenant Charles C. Taylor radioed to base, informing them his compass was not working correctly, and he thinks the flight has been traveling in the wrong direction. Shortly after, the planes encountered a storm front that further disoriented them. None of the pilots were sure where they were after that. The chatter of the pilots can be heard back in Fort Lauderdale and is also picked up by another Navy plane. Lieutenant Robert F. Cox radioed to Lieutenant Taylor, trying to help him get his bearings. Lieutenant Taylor said he is flying over broken land and thinks it is the Keys, but the Keys were too far away for the flight to reach once they dropped their load at Hens and Chickens Shoals. Another of the pilots believed if they were to just fly west, they would reach the coast, but the flight did not immediately turn west, despite standing protocol advising pilots to fly west toward the setting sun if ever they lost their way. It is not known when the flight finally turned west, but by 6 p.m. Lieutenant Taylor led his planes back toward the east, thinking the planes were flying over the Gulf of Mexico. It is believed one plane broke away from the flight, choosing to continue flying west. Radio transmissions grew fainter until the flight's transmission could not be picked up at all. The last words from Lieutenant Taylor was to his men saying, "All planes close up tight. We'll have to ditch unless landfall. When the first plane drops below 10 gallons, we all go down together." Flight 19 was never heard from again. The Navy sent more planes to search the last assumed location, but merely 20 minutes later, one of the search planes suddenly disappeared from radar and was also never seen again. It is thought the plane, a type known to gather fumes inside the hull, had a fatal accident and burst into flames. Later, a merchant ship would report seeing a fireball in the sky around the time and location where the plane disappeared. As the sun rose the following day, a massive search of 300,000 miles of ocean began, looking for any signs of Flight 19 and the missing search plane. After 5 days, the search was called off, and the members of Flight 19 and the search plane were declared dead due to causes or reasons unknown. It is thought that these 6 planes are simply casualties of the Bermuda Triangle. Strange occurrences have long been reported in the triangular area that stretches from the Florida Keys, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico, including malfunctioning compasses and radios, and numerous ships and planes that have gone missing without a trace. Others believe there may have been a problem from the beginning, starting with Lieutenant Taylor arriving late to the exercise briefing and asking to be excused from the flight. Taylor was asked why he didn't want to lead that day, and he said he just didn't want to go. There were also measures the other pilots could have taken during the flight to help ground crews triangulate their position. They could have also turned their radios to the rescue frequency, and they were advised to do so, but no one from Flight 19 responded to that command from base. In 1991, the wreckage of 5 planes was discovered near Fort Lauderdale and thought to be Flight 19. The serial numbers of the planes didn't match, however, and it is not known who the other 5 planes carried on their journey. This is further proof that the Bermuda Triangle has claimed many more victims than will ever be identified. It is assumed Flight 19 and its 27 crewmen ran out of fuel and downed themselves into the Atlantic Ocean. But the reasons they couldn't find their way and why they didn't take more measures to save themselves will never be known. Just another story to add to the mystique of the Bermuda Triangle.